their 10th of the game. And Stockton draws the foul from Askew and gets a shot from behind for his trouble. Vincent Askew. That's number 1. As Hersey Hawkins waits to come in. Let's take another look.
What John Stockton has become is the aggressor, and he's attacking the basket. Every one of the Utah guards, of the Seattle guards, are on their heels, and he's beating them with that first step.
What quickness. And Stockton initiated that little confrontation with Brikowski. Askew, he doesn't want to come out of the lineup.
Another foul. Hersey Hawkins. Hand check.
Seattle's guards are so much bigger than Stockton. They can just stand up over the top. But he's so much pressure physically. He's beating guys off the dribble who are good defenders.
But that's been his strength his entire career. Beat people off the dribble, get himself some room. Then he starts passing the basketball. Get another whistle against the Jazz. And there's Brikowski and Malone going nose to nose.
Expected this would get a little bit physical. This is number 3 on Brikowski.
Well, this is intimidation. Michael Buffers was here. He should be calling this.
When the whistle blows, the players have to walk away and reset once the ball comes back into action. When they start walking toward each other, that's bad.
Karl Malone 0 for 2 from the line, gets counted down again. He is 0 for 3 as Sam Perkins checks in. Malone shooting just 58% from the line in the postseason. Has no explanation for the fall off in his abilities from the line, and he'll get counted again. Let's see how accurate they are. As you might expect, the fans are a little quick. Malone, 1 out of 4, 28-26 Seattle.
You know, it's kind of like they used to put that clock on Ivan Lendl in tennis, and he'd always get it away before they had the violation. So Karl Malone knows exactly how much time he needs to get it. It's irritating to the fans. Hawkins.
But there's no intent by Karl Malone to violate the rule.
The foul is on Jeff Hornacek. Hersey Hawkins will be shooting free throws when we come back. 6:46 to play in the first half.
Now the final second of play here in the Boston Garden. Boston up by 2. Won't start until it's touched. They'll have to throw it up. Garherd, turnaround, shot in the air. It's good. It's tied again. I don't believe it. Garfield Hurd at the buzzer. We've got a third overtime in the Boston Garden.
I gotta take a breather. Garfield Hurd made the basket. I want to tell you something. Somebody up there is on our side.
I think it's going to be more of a 5-man game, and we really have to play a complete basketball game. I don't think one man can beat the Boston Celtics.
What a great shot, and a basket and a foul. You talk about Bird, sheer determination in certain points of a game. Michael Jordan has those same qualities. Jordan ties the game.
Oh, boy.
63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Oh, boy.
Michael Jordan.
Nash looking, tied up, reach in. A jump ball! A jump ball! Hold your position!
6 and 1/10 second remaining in the overtime, and the Suns leading 98-97. Tip won by Walton, flicks it outside of Kobe, takes it to midcourt. Kobe.
Bryant for the win! Bang!
Kobe Bryant has hit a shot at the buzzer! Oh my goodness!
Seattle, Washington. On a Sunday evening in June. Welcome back, everyone. Here's how this series has gone so far. It opened here in Seattle with a 30-point blowout by the Sonics. Sean Kemp led the way with 21. The Jazz made it closer in Game 2, but Gary Payton's 18 points and 8 assists still had the Sonics up 2-0. They returned to Salt Lake City. Brian Russell came off the bench to score 24 in Game 3. and the Sonics lead was cut to 2-1, but Sam Perkins led the way for Seattle in Game 4. Back here Tuesday night in Game 5, Jeff Hornacek's 27 cut the Sonics lead to 3-2, and then Thursday night, the Runaways Utah victory 118-83 has us at 3 games each. The third time in 5 years that Utah has been in the Western Conference Finals. It's the first time they've won more than 2 games in a final.
Yeah, they're right on the threshold. They all can feel it, and they were all excited about the opportunity to get to face the Chicago Bulls should they win this afternoon. A rare miss from Hersey Hawkins, who has been terrific at the line for the Sonics and really is trying to be the aggressor against Jeff Hornacek, who has tortured him through the first 6 games.
Hawkins gets 1 out of 2, comes into this game shooting 90% from the free throw line in the postseason.
Utah has to be ecstatic that they're within 3 here. Stockton hasn't scored since the first 4.5 minutes of the game. He had 10 points early. Karl Malone's really having a hard go of it.
And Perkins fouls him in the paint.
So with things going poorly for the 2 stars for Utah, the guys that make it all happen, they're right there in the game.
Well, it's been an ugly quarter at the offensive end for both teams. Utah's got 5 points. Malone trying to get them 7 with this pair of free throws. And the Sonics, they have 8. So it's not been a hot-scoring quarter.
Malone now 2 of 5 from the free throw line. Utah just 2 out of 8 from the floor here in the second quarter. And Seattle 3 for 4.
Now remember, the thing about Karl Malone here in Seattle is he's never gotten off to great starts, but he's usually exploded in the second half in the third quarter. So he's trying to find the rhythm, let the game come to him, gets both of those free throws.
29-28, Sonics by 1.
Karl Malone loves the pressure, loves the antagonistic crowd chanting out his name. He wants to take on the entire state of Washington.
Sean Kemp looking for a way around Malone and is fouled by Malone.
He's just helping them up, and they're taking it the wrong way. I thought there was a confrontation. Sean Kemp is actually under control.
Karl says, I don't want any help.
Well, that's fine.
But this is a second foul here for Karl Malone. Usually he's clean as a whistle on these type of plays.
He's one of those guys that plays great defense with his hands and got a little bit too much arm, but Sean Kemp is going to take the free throw. Kemp is in this game. He's played under control and not having to be concerned about foul.
Jim Gray tells us Nate McMillan is back in the Seattle locker room stretching out that sore hamstring. Kemp hits them both. 10 points on the night for Kemp, 3-point Seattle lead.
4 rebounds for Kemp. Most importantly, 0 fouls.
The basketball. Hornacek feeds him down low.
Hey, look at Gary Payton step right in there, close enough to where he can be called for illegal, but they call it on Detlef Schrempf on the other side. George Carlson, look, that's what they do at Utah. You take a look up top, and you'll see here Detlef Schrempf right in here, and he's going to move back across the lane. And when you see him, he's standing there in the paint.
The players are arguing, and the coaches, particularly George Karl, arguing way too much. They're acting like the refs care who win this game.
Russell for 3. And Payton has the rebound.
Well, that's because of the bigness of the moment. Both teams have so much at stake, and these groups of players want to get to Chicago on both sides.
Kemp with the handoff to Payton and the travel.
When you make that handoff, and we've seen Stockton and Malone guilty of the same thing, you can't leave it in your hands. When you're going to give it to him, you got to flip it up in the air just 6 inches out of your hand so he knows to take it. When the guard comes by, like Payton did that time, and tries to grab it out of your hands, that's always going to be traveling.
11th Sonics turnover of the night.
They were trying to get Felton Spencer in a game. They wouldn't allow it, so Antoine Carr has to stay in.
They got to get Ryan Russell in this game. They got to get him to make a shot.
5.5 to play in the first half.
The man that they have to get started is Malone, and everything revolves around him. If he gets started, Russell gets shot.
That was his best move of the afternoon. Most authority.
Malone with 9. Jazz are within 1, 31-30. This is Payton now, top of the key.
They would love to become as efficient at running pick and roll as Stockton and Malone. They never quite get the screen set. Kemp inside.
with those shot blockers up top out there. Once he gets that deep position, just up and over, lead with that elbow right into Karl Malone.
Stockton gets Payton in the air and then gives it to Carr.
A lot of time on the shot clock.
And look at Hersey Hawkins, done a much better job. They force a turnover, can't control it.
It is Utah ball with 5 seconds on the shot clock. Jerry Sloan wants a foul, doesn't get it. Here's Karl Malone working on Perkins.
Almost loses his balance. Drops that drop step leg back so far. Kemp comes right back with the same move. Kemp doesn't use the hitch that all the great post players develop. The Abdul-Jabbars, the Akeem Olajuwons, the Karl Malones.
5 seconds on the clock. Spencer inside and gets the bounce.
Nice inbound play. They caught the Sonics asleep. Everybody was pressuring outside, and they just threw right behind the ear for Felton Spencer's easy two.
Coming up on 4:20 to play in the first half.
They want to set a pick and roll, and they don't get it set. That's been their problem when they try to play the two-man game.
Payton for 3 out of the corner. No. Rebound off to the Sonics. And Shrimp, did he get the timeout call? He did.
A wasted timeout. Gary Payton's having a tough offensive day. Just 2 for 4 shooting, 5 points.
No, he didn't get the timeout. Mike Mathis pointed in the direction of the Sonic bench. What he meant was it's Utah basketball.
That's a break for the Sonics.
Low-scoring quarter so far. Utah with 11 points, Seattle with 12.
Russell wide open, but he's the guy that Shrimp has to leave, and when he leaves, he's the guy that gets a shot.
Up top, Hornacek grabs the loose ball and rebounded by Shrimp.
What a pass by Stockton. It was like he bounced it off of Payton's backside.
Shrimp on the drive. Walking foul and it counts.
This is the number 3 guy and the offensive priority for the Utah Jazz. And Felton Spencer could never stop moving. Otherwise, he would have gotten the call. Shrimp says, finally, I'm going to get to the line.
Spencer with his 3rd personal.
And it appeared as if Felton Spencer was just starting to get on track. He got a little jumper to roll for him in the lane.
Malone with the rebound.
That little Shrimp still able to get by guys with that weak pump fake on the perimeter. He's not making that outside shot. Why go for that?
Stockton for Foster. Gives it to Malone.
Nice pass.
Karl Malone now with 11 points, 35-34. Jazz back within 1.
7 in the quarter. Both teams playing hands defense, and the Jazz poke it away. Payton steals it right back. Can't control it.
As Jim Gray told us, Gary Payton going through a tough time this week of personal family matters, and he wanted everyone to know that his entire family was together last night before the game and are here in Seattle with him.
And a very confident and animated and poised Gary Payton as well.
Malone goes to Foster at the top of the key, and now Hornacek going to look for Malone again down low.
Well, the Jazz have been making that extra pass. This one has to come out over the top. Hawkins' reaction saying, he was out of bounds.
Well, rarely will you see Jeff Hornacek beat you off the dribble for his own shot.
Stops the clock with 2:49 to play in the first half. 35-34 Seattle.
What else can you say? What a play! Big shot! Oh my goodness! The crowd is going wild!
If this isn't the best game in league history, it's up there.
Holy smokes!
This is what the WNBA is all about.
Oh, what a sensational move.
Vince Carter taking over.
Incredible.
Indeed.
Wow, what hasn't he done tonight?
What a finish.
Oh, my.
What a shot by Jamison. That was remarkable.
Oh, we're in for a dandy tonight.
The party continues. That's as good as it gets. That's all about hustle right there. Deep three. Tarashi getting off to a hot start. Don't bring that weak stuff in here. Oh, my goodness. Somehow gets the roll. This is amazing. What a move. What a pass. Oh, what a bucket.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Kids today just don't listen. Welcome back to Seattle, everyone, where our halftime scores, the Sonics 44 and the Jazz 41. A look at the Miller Lite halftime statistics shows that the Seattle Sonics were shooting the lights out in the first half. 17 of 28, 61% of the floor, led by Sean Kemp, who was 6 of 8 and 16 points. In the turnover department, Seattle has been turning the ball over at a rapid random rate. They are still doing that. In the last 4 games of this series, Seattle has averaged 22.5 turnovers a game. They've got 12 already this evening. Gary Payton with 10 points, but they lead it by 3 at 44-41. John Stockton has turned his game around in the last 2 games. 14 points, 12 assists in Game 6, 11 and 3 so far this evening. Jim Gray is standing by with Seattle coach George Karl. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. George, you outshoot the Jazz. You out-rebound them 61%, yet you only lead by 3 points. Are you concerned?
I like where we are. I mean, there's a lot of worse places we can be. The turnovers are affecting us a little bit. I think we can, offensively, we can play a lot better, but I love the defensive effort and the focus on the rebounding.
How did the halftime conversation go? Are there a lot of nerves in that locker room?
I don't think so. I think everybody wanted to get back out on the court and play. It's a man's game right now, and that's the way it should be.
George, good luck in the second half.
Back in Seattle, 44-41 Sonics as we get ready to start the third. Leading scorers in this game so far. Take a look for the Utah Jazz. Karl Malone with 14, John Stockton with 11 for the Sonics. Sean Kemp with 16, Gary Payton with 10. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad.
All right, Greg, Jerry Sloan telling his team at halftime that Seattle's shooting 60% and they're only down 3. The thing that concerned him is they were 6 for 20 from the outside. He said they want to execute their offense better and really get into the offense. Too much standing around on the perimeter. When they post up, they want the guards to cut harder to the basket, try to get some easy buckets. Greg?
All right, Ahmad, thank you. Detlef Schrempf backs in, and then the turnaround on the baseline.
Seattle, Greg, has to think finish. They've got to think, take care of it one more time. Run and run and run some more until you make your opponent quit and keep Hornacek's hands off the ball. Hornacek, he needs to take 20 shots in this game. He's only got 6 attempts in the first half.
Malone's miss. Schrempf has the Sonics running. Irvin Johnson.
No. A terrible shot.
I may not get another shot, and that one was wide open for Irvin Johnson. What they've got to do is get him going to the basket. The Jazz rebound it and turn it over, but Utah is not a team that likes to run on the road, and that's one of the reasons that George Karl is trying to force the tempo to get them to do something they're not accustomed to doing.
John Stockton, in the first 4.5 minutes of the game, scored 10 points in the last 19.5. As Detlef Schrempf hits a 3, Stockton has managed just 1 point.
And Jerry Sloan counters quickly with Brian Russell. Too tentative by Chris Morris.
49-41. Stockton converts on the pass from Hornacek.
That play has been there. The passer has got to zip it in. Hornacek, keep his eye on Stockton and vice versa. Seattle's defense way too soft on that play.
Kemp spins, feeds, comes out to the top. Oh, Payton left open.
He never leaves the ball.
10 for Gary Payton. Make it 12 for Payton. Timeout, Utah. Cheering their Sonics who lead it 51-43.
Play hard, play smart, play together, all right?
Holy smokes! Oh, it's going to be that kind of game, is it? Unbelievable!
Open it off the window. Can you believe it?
Elevates. And fills it up! How about that
comes Avery Johnson. A title's at stake. Spurs are closing in. You want Duncan. Got it on the entry pass. Double team. Elliott on top. Elliott bluffs, drives, kicks. Avery Johnson with the lead. Yes. Avery Johnson drills it from the baseline, and the Spurs have regained the lead.
The little guy sticks that dagger right toward your heart on every occasion.
The San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
15. Kareem against Parrish. Long sky hook. In and out. And there's Magic Johnson. And the Celtics can play for the last shot. Bird. Double. Dennis Johnson. 2 seconds. It's good. The game is over. 2-2 is the series. Dennis Johnson hit the last basket of the game.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Well, once the Jazz and the Sonics determine who will meet Chicago in the NBA Finals, NBC has 3 hot must-see TV comedies tonight. Mad About You, News Radio, Third Rock from the Sun, the NBA Western Conference Finals, and must-see TV. What a night, NBC tonight.
Greg, for Utah right now, their consistency that has been their trademark of Stockton and Malone for years, that's not good enough. They have got to play better than they've ever played. They got to raise their game.
This is an 8-point game. Jerry Sloan knows that they're at a real critical point in the ball game. They don't want the Sonics to get to double digits. That's why I call a timeout. Hornacek forcing the shot, but getting the whistle.
Percy Hawkins commits his second. The Sonics shot 50% from the floor in the first quarter. Since then, they are 12 for 16. So they've stepped up their offensive game.
And the aggressive edge that we detected in Percy Hawkins yesterday carrying over throughout this game. So strong, so assertive defensively, denying Hornacek completely.
Hornacek hits the first. Oh, look at Jeff Hornacek, who is just lighting things up. 52% from behind the arc. The problem for him tonight has been getting that shot away.
And he's got a quick release. They're not setting screens for him away from the ball. They're not getting any sort of up and down opportunities. Karl Malone's been fading away, not getting to the hoop. Sometimes you have to drive the ball, Greg, right at Hornacek's man. Force a double team with Hawkins, and then Hornacek can get some sort of shot.
Well, this is their hot shooter in the quarter, Detlef Schrempf, but when Russell has been guarding him, he hasn't been looking.
Sean Kemp with a 2. 53-45, 9.5 to play in the third.
What are you going to do when Sean Kemp plays like that? The guy's shooting perfectly, totally under control, no fouls, hasn't gone for a pump fake, hasn't double clutched.
Stockton to the other side. 15 for John Stockton. That's his high point total in this series.
Remember, Sloan said if we can just stick in there, keep plodding along, we can get a chance to get control of the game. And it's really on the Sonics to try to force the tempo to not allow Utah to get anything cheap or easy.
And Russell will shoot 2 on the foul from Hawkins. That's number 3 on Percy Hawkins.
Scowling, Percy Hawkins, not happy at all, but they look like they had gotten control of the ball. They lost it again, and then Russell, bringing it hard to the basket, will go to the line. Now, Russell has been quieted. They have not seen him be the energizer for Sloan so far, but that's why he's in the game, too, because he brings a different kind of energy to the floor.
Wasn't that traveling on that fast break attempt by Russell?
No, he was dribbling. You got to know dribbling. You don't know how to dribble.
Russell, his first 2 points of the night, 53-49. The Jazz down by 8 and now cut it to 4.
It was Russell and Antoine Carr in Game 5 that allowed Utah to win that game and set the stage for tonight. Wild shot, Peyton. That's the kind of shot that can get Utah going.
Hornacek for 3. A little bit too long. Kemp with the rebound.
Remember, Carl said that we wanted a little bit of playground, a little bit up and down, but we want them to get out of their character and allow Seattle to get more into theirs.
Well, Peyton, from one of his favorite spots on the floor, didn't find anything. Russell for three.
That is beautiful basketball. You can just see John Stockton's eyes light up as he comes up the court, picking guys out. Maybe this guy, maybe that.
And Kemp turns the ball over. 53-52, Jazz looking for the lead here.
Let one fly, Russell. You just hit one.
He gets the pass from Malone and draws the foul from Stremp.
Another problem that Russell presents is that he is the guy that's cutting, and Detlef Stremp is having trouble finding him. When he dives to the basket, he's open.
George Karl sees a little something he doesn't like here, so he calls timeout with 7:59 to play. His Sonics leading by 1, and you're watching the NBA on NBC.
.103 left in overtime. 101-99. Here's Iverson. Lou the defender. Stays right with him. Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes!
He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row.
7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead in the water.
The Sixers by 4. 40 seconds left.
It's 89-84. Sixers, and they get inside. And unbelievable. Julius Erving hit it dreaming underneath. He was trapped, and he still got the field goal. And Westhead said, "Whoa, let's quiet everything after that." Watch this fantastic move by the doctor.
Going to the baseline, right side. Julius in the air, palming over the right hand. Floating, reaching, and spinning it in. Incredible. What a play.
It was a 10-point Spurs lead. Barkley picks and rolls and scores. Robinson on Barkley. It's his game to win, or we go to overtime. Barkley, 20-footer, yes! Charles Barkley with an MVP jump shot. And the Suns have won the Western Conference semifinal 4-2.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest game.
The latest edition of the NBA Finals begins Wednesday night as the Bulls welcome in the winner of this game, Hersey Hawkins. We were speculating earlier tonight about what the Bulls are thinking. Are they resting too much? We asked Hersey.
If you're Chicago, I think you're thinking, thanks, Utah. Thanks, Seattle, for playing 7 games. Of course, giving them the rest to heal all their little aches. And watching us every night, I'm quite sure they've scouted us very, very closely now, and they probably know every little nook and cranny of what each team does. So, they'll be sitting in a pretty good position when whichever team comes in that Wednesday.
But the winner of this game will come in game sharp and on edge already. Now, Chicago has not lost a single game at home in the playoffs, but their roster was built to beat Orlando. So all those big guys they got on that team to bang with Shaq, they'll be immaterial in this series. These teams out here, much more based on skill and interchangeable players.
Ryan Russell hits 2 free throws. The Jazz are up 1.
7 1/4 for him, but this also has awakened both of these teams. This series has done for them what the New York series did for the Chicago Bulls. They are going to be ready to play in the final.
Gary Payton. Spencer with the rebound.
In the first half, that was going for Gary Payton, scoring at will. He had 10 in the first half. He just got 2 here in the second, but you can't miss that over a guy who's under 6 foot in Stockton trying to stop you in the post.
Utah has scored 9 straight.
Well, they got that spark, and Karl Malone hasn't really gotten a rhythm here in the third quarter. Big rebound, Kemp.
You go get that guy, okay?
9 rebounds for Sean Kemp.
In order to quiet him down, Detlef Stremp has really got to stay aggressive at the offensive end.
Kemp hits a second straight jumper from outside.
Karl Malone is not matching up with Sean Kemp in the perimeter game.
Antoine Carr set to come in. Jerry Sloan wants an illegal defense call on the Sonics. He doesn't get it.
Well, they missed it. They did have Sam Perkins lost in the shuffle, but Kemp wants to guard Karl Malone this afternoon.
Malone goes with the left hand, doesn't fall. And now Malone losing his temper a bit at the other end. That's number 3
shot. He thought he could get down. Sean Kemp playing perfect basketball today. No fouling. Staying completely within himself. I'd penetrate right at Karl Malone or who's ever guarding Sean Kemp and get him another jumper from the perimeter right here.
55-54, Seattle by 1.
They're trying to get the ball to Sean Kemp now, who's being guarded by Malone.
Hawkins down the lane, kicks it out. Perkins alone for 3. Sonics by 4, 58-54. And there's the illegal defense call. Jerry Sloan says that's the second time in a row that's happened, but the first time you've called it.
Yeah, Seattle's defense, which is at the top of the league, they're taking Karl Malone out of his game. They're making him shoot fadeaways. They're giving him only opportunities in his least favorite spots on the floor. Give George Karl a lot of credit.
Greg, I didn't know you could read lips so well from so far away.
It's that sign language stuff. Boy, Sean Kemp having himself a night.
Well, he's maturing. We have seen that from game 5 on. Sean Kemp is learning how to play with the emotion and the bigness of the moment.
Under 6 minutes to play.
And as poorly, excuse me, Greg, as it's going for Utah, they're just down 3 points.
And Malone got the ball down low and drew the foul, so he will shoot 2. That's number 1 of the game on Kemp.
But Kemp has stayed out of foul trouble, and you know, even now, in working the official, is doing it in a way to where he might get a call the next time down.
Kemp 4 for 8 from the free throw line, gets counted down again. For Karl Malone.
Hornacek's only taken 1 shot this half. 7 for the game.
Malone goes 2 for 2 from the line, pulls the Jazz to within 1. 58-57 Seattle, 5:50 to play in the third.
Utah really needs Brian Russell and Antoine Carr right now to do something out there.
And it's out of bounds off Antoine Carr. It'll be Seattle ball with 12 seconds on the shot clock.
Unforced turnovers, and that's what's been killing the Sonics. This pass right there, and then Payton just loses control of the ball. They're fortunate to get it back. 12 on the shot clock.
They've been averaging 22 turnovers a game, Steve, since game 2. That's not good.
14 turnovers so far tonight. Payton off the mark. Russell has the loose ball. Here comes Stockton and the Jazz.
Nobody's setting screens for Hornacek in the open court. Nobody's trying to help him get off.
Yeah, but Percy Hawkins is wearing him for a jacket as well. He is not letting him get out of his sight where before he turned him loose.
Malone's pass nowhere near. Payton dishes off. Hawkins fakes twice and draws the foul. And Malone and Hornacek talking about that missed connection at the other end of the floor.
Gary Payton, fortunate to find Percy Hawkins. Looked like he'd gotten himself a little bit out of control, but true to his word, Percy Hawkins said, if I have to force up a few, I'm getting in this game. I am not going to have Dawkins call me again and tell me I didn't do what I do best.
You hate answering those calls at 3 in the morning.
But you can see how Seattle has made the adjustments in realizing that Utah doesn't have shot blockers when Felton Spencer and Greg Foster are on the bench. Antoine Carr and Karl Malone, they never go in the air. It's always down low.
Hawkins hits them both. The Sonics by 3, 60-57. Coming up on 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter.
Isley has to make positive contributions here.
Stockton with a seat on the bench. Malone to Hornacek and blocked by Hawkins. Hawkins left behind, came back for the block on defense.
Karl Malone is giving the ball to cutters who can't do anything with it. He's got to be more selective.
Perkins, turnaround. 10 points for Sam Perkins off the Sonics bench. 62-57 Seattle.
If you're going to change the tempo of the game and you're a Sonic fan, you got to look for them to do it right now against Howard Isley.
Seattle crowd comes to its feet. Malone wants the ball down low and gets it back. Powers up, comes up short. Here come the Sonics again. Payton spins, retains control down the lane. Follows, no, tap up by Shrimp. Jerry Sloan wants timeout.
Utah standing around waiting for calls to be made. They're not coming.
Seattle on an 11-3 run has opened up a 64-57 lead. 3:53 to play in the third quarter. We'll come back to Key Arena in just a moment. This is the NBA on NBC. Rockets fans smell victory. Rockets have the ball with the game tied and 6.7 to play. Drexler outside, Maloney, Johnson at the buzzer. Eddie Johnson hits at the buzzer to give the Rockets a 95-92 win over the Jazz.
7, 6, 5. DeBusschere shoots. Hit with 3 seconds to go. 2 seconds. 1 second. West throws it up. He makes it. West threw it up and makes it. Over half court. The ball game is tied. Jerry West made it from the other side of the midcourt stripe.
In traffic to Kerr. 15-footer. Championship in the last 7 years. Thomas wants to get it in quickly.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the inbounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest game.
Back for the start of the fourth quarter here in Seattle, and our guest cameraman here at the start of the fourth, a familiar face to anybody who's watched any television at all. Richard Dean Anderson. Rick's in town to film an NBC miniseries that'll air in November. I got that right, Pandora's Clock, right, Rick?
Yeah, you know, I've been up here for the last month or so shooting this thing called Pandora's Clock for NBC, but on the weekends I like to pick up a little extra change doing this.
And we're glad to help. Thanks, Rick.
How am I doing?
Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Greg. Brian Russell left the game moments ago complaining of not being able to see. I just found out that he had bumped heads with Gary Payton, and what he's suffering now is double vision. He's in the locker room. They've applied some eye drops, and I'll keep you posted as to his condition. Greg?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Utah turns the ball over. Seattle with the ball and a 73-67 lead.
Terrific recovery and poke away by Vincent Askew.
Teams trailing game 7 don't come back to win very often in the fourth quarter. There's a rejection of the Perkins shot, and here come the Jazz 3-on-2. Stockton slows it down. Hornacek.
Don't shoot that one.
Karl Malone's going to get tagged for a foul right there. So now there becomes a problem for Malone, who has not been able to get into the game at the offensive end. His fourth personal foul. Watch the elbow come up on Detlef Schrempf.
That's a big-time shove in the paint. That's number 4 of the game on Karl Malone.
Well, if they're going to let the defense push, you got to get them off you somehow.
Payton spins on Stockton.
This is what we anticipated through the entire series. Payton and Stockton going back and forth with each other. It took Stockton a little while to get himself going, but he is into this game, misses that shot.
Payton comes back, and Stockton with the steal from behind. Hornacek will push. Feeds Malone on the run.
Big-time extension. Karl Malone needed that hoop to get started, and they need him to bring the Mayo down the fourth quarter.
Great how Karl Malone never double clutches on his way to the hoop. It's just pure strength and power.
Perkins with the shot clock running down now to 5. Detlef Schrempf needs to get it away. Forces it over Malone. And well for Schrempf.
The role players for Seattle, which did not get the job done in the last couple of games, have played solid ball today. Schrempf, Hawkins. For Utah, on the other hand, Antoine Carr hasn't played today.
Benoit loses the handle and turns it over.
Ryan Russell's been in the locker room. He's back out on the bench right now.
And Jerry Sloan has some decisions to make as the crowd goes wild for their Sonics. 9:46 to play in regulation.
Remaining in the 5th game. Here they go. They get it to Fisher. He scores! Eric Fisher scores at the buzzer.
We got to take a look at it, but I got to tell you, live, it looked good.
You know, at the risk of being a shill, now I know why they say we love this game.
We love this game.
What? It's just unbelievable.
That's a highlight show. You'll be seeing that on your local newscast.
Kevin Johnson. Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Miller, where great taste runs in the family, brings you Miller Moments.
And tonight's Miller Moments spotlights the last time a Western Conference Final went to Game 7. 3 years ago, the Sonics and the Phoenix Suns, the game belonged to Charles Barkley, who had a monster game. 44 points, 24 rebounds. The Suns advanced to the NBA Finals, defeating Seattle 123-110. In recognition of that moment, Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. That man, George Karl, hoping to move on to the NBA's championship round.
3 years ago, Jordan and the Bulls were waiting for the winner again, so nothing has changed except that the Sonics are trying to be the team to get there.
Detlef Schrempf open for 3, front rim, and Stockton has the rebound.
Sonics, though, have made some major personnel moves since that time, improving team chemistry and versatility off the bench.
That'll be Vincent Askew on the push.
John Stockton is a leading rebounder in the game for the Utah Jazz. He's got 7. That tells you that they're not doing the job on the glass, but he is attacking Vincent Askew. They're going to have to change that matchup. With only an 8-point lead, he's able to break down the defense. That means somebody else is going to get involved.
Brian Russell back on the floor for the Jazz. Stockton finds Russell, and Russell puts it up.
Tough shot, waited so long. Karl Malone's only got 4 rebounds in this game.
Benoit came over to tap it back. So Carr, Russell, Benoit, Malone, and Stockton. Up top, Benoit for 3. And David Benoit curls it home.
Benoit has been waiting for Jerry Sloan to call his name at a meaningful time. He used to start. He wants to prove that he hasn't gone AWOL.
Well, he hurt his knee before Game 4 in the Portland series and been struggling to get any playing time since.
Swing it around to McMillan, who puts up a 3.
That's when the Jazz can get back in the game, when the Sonics stand around and shoot the ball from the perimeter. If they're going to go outside with no movement, Utah's going to control the glass running back down.
Sean Kemp will be back on the floor at the next whistle. Shot clock is down to 7. The lob from Malone had it blocked and fouled.
Malone wants to shoot. Gary Payton says on the floor.
Foul is on Detlef Schrempf. And that's 4 on Schrempf.
This was a defensive strategy that Seattle utilized in Game 5 that Utah has not capitalized on today. When they run the pick and roll, Seattle loves to switch that. That forces Gary Payton to guard Karl Malone. First time they've created that opportunity. We haven't seen left side pick and roll today for Utah.
And Malone will not shoot. Utah inbounds the ball. Stockton.
Long arm for Sam Perkins.
5-point lead for the Sonics. The Sonics are best offensively when they go without thinking. If they stop and think, they don't go down. Payton reacts and scores.
20 points tonight for Gary Payton.
Utah, which was so good at the closeouts on the perimeter shooters in Game 6, not getting it done today, allowing Payton to get whatever he wants in the paint.
Well, Karl Malone told us this morning that he wanted to be like Olajuwon was when they put him out of the misery last year. He wanted to have all the touches.
How about
David Benoit again from 3. He's 2 for 2 from behind the line. Sonics 79, the Jazz 75.
That's what the Jazz needed, another shot in the arm, and Benoit's provided it 2 3-point field goals.
And coming over to commit the foul is Brian Russell as Stockton went for the steal.
But look what Seattle is doing and continuing to take advantage of Payton in the post over Stockton. So much size, strength, quickness.
You know, the entire community here, Bill, was nervous about the Sonics, thinking that they would see a replay of the Denver Nuggets, a replay of the LA Lakers, but this team has been different and played true to their character so far. They have been aggressive, and they've been able to hold the lead, but give Utah credit, they are really fighting.
But it's the poise and maturity that we're seeing in Gary Payton and Sean Kemp that has been the difference from the last couple years, as well as the more relaxed attitude of George Karl. Oh, John.
Another step. Stockton looking for the foul call. Didn't get it. 80-77. Sonics by 3. 6:45 to play here in the fourth quarter. Kemp. He'll go to the free throw line.
I like the lineup that Jerry Sloan's using. More athleticism, get Russell into the backcourt, utilize David Benoit.
Antoine Carr draws his 4th personal as the teams go to the bench with 6:42 to play in regulation. The Sonics 80, the Jazz 77. We'll be back to Seattle right after this.
Bird now cuts free. It's a duel. Put down your saber. Wilkins responds. It's Bird's turn. Comes up with a shot, and the Celtics lead it. Who's going to blink first? And Dominique high off the glass. Johnson gets it into Bird, and Wilkins is there. Bird comes free. You are watching what greatness is all about.
Now the final
Final second of play here in the Boston Garden. Boston up by 2. Won't start until it's touched. They'll have to throw it up. Garherd, turnaround, shot in the air. It's good. It's tied again. I don't believe it. Garfield Hurd at the buzzer. We've got a third overtime in the Boston Garden.
I gotta take a breather. Garfield Hurd made the basket. I want to tell you something. Somebody up there is on our side.
I think it's going to be more of a five-man game, and we really have to play a complete basketball game. I don't think one man can beat the Boston Celtics.
What a great shot, and a basket and a foul. You talk about Bird, sheer determination. In certain points of a game, Michael Jordan has those same qualities. Jordan ties the game.
Oh, boy.
63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Oh, boy.
Michael Jordan.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Karl Malone, half of a terrific Hall of Fame duo, Malone and John Stockton. The Jazz have never reached the NBA's championship round. They're looking to do it now.
(6'9", 255-pound Karl Malone.
Stole the ball. Stockton stole the ball.
The question is, does this run stop here tonight, or does it continue into the NBA's championship round? 7 seconds on the shot clock. Stockton. Shot clock at 2 on the run. In and out and back in again. 85-84, Seattle 22 for John Stockton tonight.
Huge game for Stockton, and like Sloan said, against the clock, Stockton has made a lot of good things happen for him. He wants the ball in his hands. Seattle cannot get tentative at the offensive end. 10 on the shot clock.
Kemp. And this one is against Antoine Carr. That is number 5 on Carr. Let's go back to John Stockton.
John Stockton just able to break down the defense off the broken pick and roll and over the outstretched arms of helpless Seattle defenders. As big a shot as John Stockton's ever hit in his career.
Now Antoine Carr playing with 5 fouls.
Well, they're trying to come to Kemp, and they want to get an inside score. Sean Kemp.
And the whistle blows. That'll do it for Antoine Carr.
The discipline of Sean Kemp to get what he wanted. To work him down into the paint. Still with no hitch back to that baseline side to set it all up. But clearly Antoine Carr all over the arm.
In the last 2 victories for Utah, Carr had 8 points in Game 6, 16 points in Game 5. He finishes up with 4 points and 3 rebounds tonight.
He laid his big body out there and banged some people around, made Sean Kemp work a lot harder here in the second half of play. Kemp was nearly perfect in that first half.
But Steve, that is so much what the home court advantage is all about. Sean Kemp gets the first free throw to extend the lead to 2. But it's always those middle-level guys, the Antoine Carrs, the Felton Spencers, the David Benoits. At home, they play great. But what happens when they get out on the road?
87-84 Sonics coming up on a minute 10 to play. Hornacek. Hawkins got a piece of that. Hornacek thought he was fouled.
Now, if you're a Sonic, you want to use time, but you don't want to become tentative. So they've got to be aggressive, trying to go a 2-man game between Kemp and Payton. They turn it over.
Malone with the steal.
Malone in transition.
And there's a foul by Payton on Stockton.
Good foul by Payton. Didn't let him get numbers so that they'll have to set up.
Boy, what a battle that has been at the point guard position this series. Owned by Payton until Stockton came alive in Game 6. 40 seconds to play.
This Malone underneath the basket, wide open.
Too slow.
Russell for Malone, who got it. 87-86 and a half minutes of play. 22 for Malone.
8 seconds difference on the shot clock.
Sonics with the ball and a 1-point lead.
If you're the Sonics, you want to have action going to the basket. You want to try to get the whistle if you can. John Kemp.
And Foster gets the foul called against him. Sean Kemp has been a workhorse on the baseline. He will go to the line and shoot 2.
The conditioning can Sean Kemp, but watch Foster put his hands up in the air. Once he puts his hands up in the air, he's showing the ref that he's given up on the play. If he keeps those hands down at the shoulder level as the bench explodes in excitement in anticipation of the pending victory, but Sean Kemp, now is where his conditioning comes in.
Kemp in game 5 had 24 points and 13 rebounds, 26 and 14 in game 6, 24 and 14 tonight, including 8 of 9 from the free throw line. And he is like clockwork now.
Percy Hawkins coming out of the ball game, Askew in. They're hoping for size in the backcourt. They want Gary Payton against Hornacek, who can shoot threes, but John Stockton can break down the defense and get by Askew. Missed it.
He hit it. Timeout, Utah. So many disappointments in the Sonics' recent history can be erased if Seattle can hold on to a lead with 13.9 to play.
If you're the Utah Jazz, you got to take the first score available. If you take a three-point shot, you're inviting yourself to be down by 5 or more with clock running against you. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Hornacek, probably the guys who are going to try to get something going real quick, but they got to get the first score and then come back, try to make a steal and foul.
I beg to differ. I think they need to go for the 3 right now and make it. They're going to eventually have to make a 3 because Seattle is shooting free throws very well.
Malone will inbound. Stockton, Benoit, Russell, all on the floor. Stockton for Malone to the basket, and he'll shoot 2. 8.2 on the game clock.
I think Stockton was going to shoot that ball.
No, he wasn't. He wanted to draw the defense. They knew that they were going to come to him. Watch the little fake, knowing Karl Malone is going to be rolling that big frame to the basket. There was a chance to get a three-point play should that one go in.